Hi guys, welcome back to We Are Tottenham TV, and this is the post-match fan show. I'm here with Amir, and we have just watched Tottenham Hotspur drill Aston Villa 4-0 at Villa Park. Before we get the callers on, Amir, we've had a little bit of time to think more about it. What was you mentioned maturity earlier on? What else really impressed you? You mentioned also as well how clinical we were. It was just from 1 to 11. It was just a top performance, wasn't it?
It really was. It really was. And the plaudits, they go to all the players, man for man. I think they did fantastically well.
Yeah.
And a big shout out to Ange Postecoglou, who outclassed Unai Emery today. Got it completely right. Tactically, subs, everything was on point. Fantastic.
Yeah, he definitely did. We've got Brian waiting to speak to us. I don't know if it's raining, but he's put his hood up. Brian, how are you, mate?
I'm good, mate. I've had to come outside the Scotland Yard. It's currently -2 and snowing. But I wanted to come on and have a chat about the tremendous performance today. How are you both?
Yes, mate, absolutely buzzing. Thanks so much for calling in. So, we talked a lot in the post-match kind of live reaction show about how it just felt like all of those players put in a minimum kind of 7 out of 10s, and it was so hard to find a man of the match. But, what are your major takeaways from the 4-0 victory?
So first of all, not in a million years did I see that performance, that scoreline, that complete domination. I was a million miles away from thinking we were going to see that. And it was just a breath of fresh air to see. It was kind of like watching the first 10 games of the season again.
It was.
That was proper handball. I think the biggest takeaway for me is it just goes to show what a difference it is when both Porro and Destiny are on the pitch, and how much difference it makes us. It transforms our game. When one of them are there, okay, if both of them are out, struggle to play our style of football. In the first half, I thought Porro was the better of the two, and in the second half, Destiny was like a bull in a china shop. He was absolutely incredible, and it was just great to see that level of confidence. And what a confidence booster this will be going forward.
Huge.
Magnificent from the boys.
Absolutely huge for us, Daigle. And I wanted to know from you, because we found it really hard to pick a man of the match from that one. There were so many candidates. Who for you stood out, Brian?
If I'm going to... it's so hard. I mean, first of all, let's just... One thing I will say. That cross from Pape Matar was a thing of beauty.
Yes, it was.
And something we haven't seen coming down the right wing in recent times. If I was to give it to anyone, I really want to try. I've backed Brennan all the way. And I think in the first half, he was our best forward player by a country mile. And he's got his goal again. And I think he had a really, really good game. So if I had to pick a player, it would be Brennan. If Van der Ven, unfortunately, hadn't picked his injury, he was just doing what Van der Ven does. We used to say last season with Harry Kane, and when he scored, it was just like Harry Kane doing Harry Kane things. Well, Van der Ven is just elite. He is just unstoppable. And let's hope it's not a bad injury. But I was very impressed with Radu when he finally came on and got the minutes. It was 0-0. It was a game where he had to be strong, and he did. I mean, like you said, boys, it's very, very hard to pick a man of the match when the performance was that good.
Yeah, Brian, actually, I've got a quote here from Postecoglou about Van der Ven's injury. He says, "I'm not sure he doesn't think it's anything too significant. So disappointing for him because he was outstanding again up until that point. Great for Radu to come in, his first significant game time in a big game, and I thought he handled it really well." I completely agree about Dragoshin, but that looks good that Van der Ven himself doesn't think it's that significant, because clearly he has had a significant hamstring one this season. Yeah. He would know better than most.
Yeah, completely. And do you know what, like you said, Barnaby, I was starting to wonder and worry when Dragoshin would get some minutes and get some game time to see what he's about. Unfortunately, he got it this way and he rose up to the challenge, but hearing that from Van der Ven is great news to hear, really. Let's just hope the scan results match what he feels.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, completely agree. And Brian, I've talked a lot, probably even last week on here, but also in my videos and stuff, about how excited I was to see us play against a team who were more going to come at us, press us, and leave spaces around the pitch. And so it happened exactly as I imagined it would. They just seemed like we had so much space in that central midfield all the time, and Madders was able to get on the ball, and as you mentioned, Porro and Destiny so key to that. But I thought Bissouma as well, in terms of taking the ball on the half turn and linking play between the centre halves and Maddison and Sarr, was impressive today.
Yeah, there was Barnaby, but also we had a couple of Villa fans here who came with Spurs fans, and they said that Unai Emery, from what they looked at, changed his tactics
He did.
to stop us getting forward. So we were all wondering, will Ange change his tactics to reflect Villa? And it ended up being the other way, and we punished them for it. But yeah, it looked that way. I don't think I've seen a team go to Villa and put it on them like that. And obviously, John McGinn, Jesus Christ. What a horrific foul that was. But yeah, Villa just didn't know how to live with us. I mean, first half they had the opportunity. Some of our passing at the back was a little bit sloppy in the first half. If there's any negatives, and this is like really trying to find something to critique. Yeah. Some of the passing was a little bit sceptical and wayward, but we rose to the challenge. But yeah, like you said, Barnaby, Villa just didn't know what to do with us, did they?
No, I didn't think so. And to be fair, Amir called it early in the first half. He said that Emery had changed his tactics to try and go for the draw, in essence, is what you were saying.
Yep. That was my feeling. Daigle. I thought that Emery seen this as a match, that if he can nick a point, it will all be in Villa's hands going forward, and they'll be able to nick that Champions League spot. So for me, apart from the players all having an amazing performance, for me, it's so huge for Ange, who's come under a bit of criticism in some of the previous games where we've dropped a few points here and there. For him to outclass a manager of the level of Emery, does that show us that we're going in the right direction and that the future's bright at Spurs?
Do you know what? When we play that way, you've got to think, look, if you look at the positives right now, 4-0, a great attacking performance and a clean sheet.
Yep.
A win at a rival that we just had to. Nothing but a win was good enough to put a marker down for top four. The confidence and the swagger we played within that second half. I don't think the only negative I can take away from it was that Van der Ven went off injured. But like Barnaby just said, it looks like that could be just a precaution, which could be magnificent if it is. Yeah. So I can't find a negative thing to say about today's, but not one. It was everything you look at that. There is just positives to take from that game today. We were superb. Fair play to Ange. Whoever was criticising him, I just don't get it. I don't get it. And we move on. And like I said, this now gives the Tottenham Hotspur, the lads, to know that they've gone away. And don't forget, our last away win in the Premier League was Nottingham Forest before Christmas. So that monkey's off our back. It's just 10 out of 10 all round for me in every single department you look at it. Tottenham Hotspur today.
Yeah, I said it in the instant match reaction. Obviously, we've been talking a lot about this difficult run of games we've got in April. But I actually see those games as games where all those teams are going to come at us, and none of them are going to want to play us like that, because we do deal so well with the press of teams these days. Hold on, I should say with the caveat of when we've got all of those players together, that I think we're going to have a major say in that title race in those April games. I can see us winning a couple of those games, at least.
Well, we've definitely, listen, by hook or by crook, we've got a hand in the title. We're the final destination of the title. And before this performance today, April was terrifying me, absolutely terrifying me with where we would finish. But after a performance like that, you've got to look at it and say, just bring it on. Because that was the Tottenham that we saw at the start of the season. And that was a marker to everyone to say, listen, Tottenham are coming back to the way we were playing football.
Yeah,
we've just got to keep the consistency now and just take that and build and move on and just get a bit of momentum now.
And based on what you were saying about the importance of Porro and Udogie, is it fair to say we should be looking at the very least a utility kind of player who can play right or left who can play it in that style in terms of one of the most important signings to make in the summer? Without
a question of a doubt. I mean, if you look at it as well, I think the stats show that when the back four, as in the first choice back four are there, I think we've actually only lost one game. And that was the Chelsea when everything started going tits up. It is vital because there is such a difference in our game. When Barnaby, I couldn't agree with you more. A player that can play like a Destiny, like a Porro, obviously to try and find someone at that level is going to be hard. You're going to have to find someone with the data analytics which will back it up, but it's essential that we have some proper backup for them.
Or we just get Don Fabio to reach into his contacts book.
Yeah, get his Rolodex back out and start looking through. And like I said, what we've got to look at as well with transfers in the summer, the Euros are banked back in the middle, so this has got to get wrapped up early. Yeah. Everything's got to be done quick. We'll see. But Barnaby, completely agree. Fullbacks to cover these two are high up on the list.
Yeah. All right, Brian. Well, look, you look absolutely freezing, so I'm going to let you get back inside.
I am shaking.
Get inside, Brian.
Thanks so much for giving us a call, mate, and we'll speak to you again after next
week's win against Fulham. Always a pleasure. See you later on, guys.
Take it easy, Brian.
Bye-bye.
Take it easy.
Top man. Just before we get our next caller on, I just want to read out a few more of the quotes from Big Ange. He says, considering the context of the game, the opponent and the venue, I thought it was as controlled as we've been in a game. I completely agree. Postecoglou on the red, and I was saying that in the first half as well, I have to say. Postecoglou on McGinn's red card. I don't think it was a key moment. We were in control. Obviously, it made it easier, but it was just a byproduct of the pressure we were putting on them. I don't think it was a malicious one from John. Okay, it was a bit. I think it was frustration, but he put too much force in it.
Yeah, I think there was a bit of maliciousness in there. To be honest with you, the way he went in so hard, I think that defines malicious.
Yeah. And then also Ange said, what's important for us is that I thought we scored 4 good goals from 4 key players who need to be scoring for us. I keep saying that that's the area of the park where I don't think we've got bang for our buck, considering how hard we work in that front third. Even today, I thought we had more opportunities to score, but I was just really pleased in the execution of all of our goals and the players who got them. That's more important. We can be a team that scores a lot of goals, but we're still a work in progress in that area. So to get 4 goals and away from home and the players who scored them was more important, and the execution of them was really pleasing. What do you think about those comments?
I think he's spot on there. In terms of the people that got the goals, right? Werner building on his confidence, Johnson getting his goal, Maddison getting his first goal since his big injury. So I think it's huge. And then obviously Sonny capping it up, getting his one. I think it's huge for the side, and I'm loving Ange's words. I think, the whole maliciousness with McGinn thing, I think he's probably just saying that, just to distract from the red card. He doesn't want people to think that we won the game because of that sending off. Like he said, we were well up, and we caused them to be so frustrated that he lashed out like that on you, doggy. Yeah. So really, really impressive by Ange, and I think that he will learn from this one as well a huge amount, to realize that sometimes the way we were knocking it around the back at 2-0 there, sometimes there are games that you do just need to do that. You don't have to go,
Hell for leather.
Hail Mary, all the way up the pitch. So very impressive all round from Ange. Great words, great performance.
Brilliant. Okay, Mikey, you're on with us next, mate. How are you feeling about that 4-0 win?
Well, I have to say that was our best attacking display I think I've seen since that first 10 game of the season stretch before we hit Chelsea. I think that absolutely... That was outstanding. It was a 10 out of 10 performance. I really couldn't have asked for anything better apart from, I would say that if there was one criticism, it was the passing around the back. Bissouma especially giving it away in that memorable incident, a couple of wayward passes. But in second half, I mean, I don't know what Ange is putting into them in the second half, but a few years down the line, I hope we don't get like a doping allegation, because this is genuinely insane. The amount of first versus second halves we've seen it's been weirdly consistent recently, how we're not performing up to par in the first half and then obliterate our opposition in the second.
Yeah.
That's quite weird, but I'm happy for the win, obviously.
I also hope we don't get a doping allegation. Man City have just scored at Anfield. 1-0 up.
Have they?
At Anfield. John Stones, by the looks of things, obviously lots of talk about him playing in that more advanced role at the moment, almost in the 10, which I can see as Spurs get better over the next few years. I can see Romero coming more and more forward.
I was about to say that to you, Barnaby, and I was having the discussion if he's actually more suited in some games to play that role than a Bissouma or someone like that, and to shore up the defense, you put Dragoose in, Van der Ven, and you've got Romero sitting in behind. That sounds scary for me. I don't think anyone will get through.
So I'm just seeing the goal, and Nathan Ake has basically blocked out the player on the front post, just pushed him away, and Stones has just run into that space and scored it really easy. Anyway, more importantly, Tottenham absolutely battering Aston Villa at Villa Park. We've got Mikey on the line. Sorry about that, Mikey. So, Mikey, we discussed earlier how many players there were who could have been man of the match today. Who really impressed you? Who kind of stood out?
I think for me, it was Christian Romero. I think he definitely stood out to me. And, obviously we scored 4 goals, but to me, in any game, you can score 7 goals, but if you concede 1, that's a problem. And I've always kind of been not a defense first guy. I'm not like Conte, who's defense first, but I always value a clean sheet above a high scoreline. I value a 1-0 win rather than a 5-1 win because the clean sheet is so important. And I think that's our first in the league since Nottingham Forest in December, almost 4 months ago. And even since Burnley in the FA Cup in the beginning of January. So 2 months ago was our last clean sheet. And I think that's a massive statement. And Christian Romero was an integral part of that. Even when Dragusin came on and, they've not played with each other together for a long time, Romero kind of just showed Dragusin what he has to do, how to do it. Every time he was stepping in, intercepting everything, heading everything, blocked everything. And for that, he was immense today. He was one of the best performers, and Destiny Udogie as well.
Yeah, Destiny's power on the ball and his decision making as well, actually, in terms of when to run
and when to stay,
and when to stay is getting better and better. Really impressed with him. What about Sonny? We haven't really talked about Sonny a lot today, just because it's almost like it's expected that he's going to score a goal when he gets a chance. But he also had 2 assists. And are we seeing that argument of him or Richarlison in the 9 being put to bed in front of our very eyes, Mikey?
The thing is, obviously they offer something extremely different. Sonny out on the wing, there's a couple of times, I think you saw today, he is still immensely quick, right? Let's not take away from how fast he is, because he is, and he's still an incredibly fast player. But he's not as fast as he was 2-3 years ago. I remember the Burnley goal he scored 4 or 5 years ago when he literally outpaced everyone. There were a couple of times today when he's gone up against an Ezri Konsa, who's not a slow defender, but even running around the outside is paid excuse me. In his 30s now, it's starting to wane just a touch. He's not as breakneck quick as he used to be. And I think him in the 9 is a better option than out wide, where we've got a player like Johnson and Werner particularly, who have probably more pace than he does at this current moment. So I think him in the 9 is a better option. But there are a couple of times today when we threw crosses in and I'm like, Richarlison would have headed those in. So it's a healthy debate to have, because you can have both of them. Richarlison's got a different set of skills to Heung-min Son, but definitely if there's an argument for them both to start, I think obviously it's Heung-min Son starts up top. But if you're looking for a game where you're going to be kind of going up against the lower block and kind of set pieces and crosses rather than an Aston Villa who are going to come out, you're looking at maybe a Richarlison as a better option. So I'm not there's different ways of thinking about it for different systems.
Totally.
Mikey, a huge call from Ange today to drop Werner after he scored his first goal and put Johnson in on the left. What did you think of his performance and Ange's decision?
I wasn't as surprised as a lot of people were by that. I was at the Palace game last week, and Werner was good. Don't get me wrong, he did score. But I think Johnson came on and absolutely changed the game. He got the assist. I think he was running in behind constantly. He was getting assists and stuff when we were 1-0 down. And I think he came on when we were 1-0 down, and we ended up winning 3-1. And I don't think that is a coincidence. I think Johnson deserved to start today. I think the problem is that Werner and Johnson could start together, but Kulusevski's work off the ball is so important to us. And that's on the ball, I think Werner and Johnson in an attacking sense are probably better than Kulusevski, but off the ball, you can't underestimate Kulusevski's his physicality and his tenacity. I mean, he won the ball for the second goal. He dispossessed, and which allowed Brennan himself to score. So I wasn't surprised to see Timo drop for Brennan, but I do think Kulusevski is always a starter whenever, because we need a player like that.
I think Kulusevski is one of those players who a lot of fans, and we were talking a little bit about this earlier, fans who kind of think it's all about assists and goals. They think if he's not doing that, then he's not making an important, having an important role within the team. Yeah. But actually, I read, and it's true, he was involved in all 4 goals today, Kulusevski. And people were slagging him at half-time. And actually, in terms of his ability to keep the ball under pressure, use that kind of strength he's got with back to goal and bring other people into it. Now, sure, is he scoring as many goals cutting in on his left as he was when he joined Spurs? No, but that's because defenders know now that is his go-to. So now he's having to affect the game in different ways, and I was very impressed with him. Just want to say before we go on, Mikey, that we've got a super chat from Mori who says Son-tastic. So that's probably based on what we were talking about with Son earlier on. Pedro Porro came back in today, Mikey. I thought he was outstanding.
I thought he was good. He's, again, I think I saw in the first half he had actually switched with Destiny Udogie for a few minutes. He was playing on the left, and Destiny was on the right. And obviously, it's Yuri Tielemans on the left and Leon Bailey was playing on the right, who, Tielemans is a great player, but he's not a winger. Bailey is a much more kind of pacey winger. And Destiny likes to push forward even more than Pedro. Pedro Porro sits in the midfield one, and Destiny just runs and runs and runs. And I think his defensive ability, it's almost like it's a 3-back at times, with Mickey van der Ven covering the left side, Romero covering the middle, and then Porro covering the right. He was instrumental again in last-ditch tackles and keeping particularly their fast wingers away from our goal. And it just looked like he hadn't missed the game. And I think obviously there are other areas that need improving in the squad, but I think an able backup for Pedro Porro, who's not named Emerson Royale, needs to be on the cards, because sometimes you just see the drop-off. Emerson is a great utility player, but you see the drop-off when he's not playing down that right-hand side. And you saw with Pape Matasar's cross how crucial it is that we get crosses in from that right-hand side. And he is one of the players that can do that. Emerson, not so much. He's not got the same passing ability. And I think Pedro Porro is, again, the whole team really today was outstanding. I can't pick a bad performer. I can't pick a bad performer who performed below an 8 out of 10. And I was very, very impressed with, apart from that one, Yves Bissouma as well. I think he looked very composed, apart from that one sloppy moment in the first half.
Mikey, for me, the man you just mentioned, he's the key to the defensive stability, because he's the guy that sits in there behind and he breaks everything up. Do you think going forward that he needs to nail down that position and say that's mine, and no one else even challenge him for it?
Well, when Ange came in the beginning of the season, we were all like, Bissouma, Sarr, Maddison is a great midfield, but wait till Bentancur comes out. Wait till you add Bentancur to that.
Yeah.
I'm seeing Bissouma, Sarr, Maddison performing better than whenever Bentancur plays. I mean, Bentancur was really, really good today. Don't get me wrong. He was really good and really should have left more on Matty Cash in the last few minutes of the game. But Bentancur was still good today, but he's coming off the bench. There was a quote from Anthony, you're not going to see Bentancur back to his full best until the beginning of next season because of how long he was out for and how,
True.
And, especially with the Copa America coming up this summer, it'll give him a chance to freshen up with Uruguay. But I think if you're looking at Bissouma, Sarr and Maddison, it looks more balanced because you've got Bissouma in the 6, Sarr, who is genuinely one of the best young midfielders in the world. He is such a good player.
Fully agree with that, Mikey.
He can do anything. I'm not saying he's, Bellingham, Pedri level of quality. I'm not saying that at all, but I think he genuinely could become one of the best midfielders in the world if you nurture him properly. And Bissouma is a key part of that. He hasn't been dribbling past players as much as he has in the first few games. But again, it was him dropping in with Romero covering the right, Van der Ven and later Dragusin covering the left, and him just kind of slotting him back. And that just, it looked like it makes our almost like a 3-back system, and it just gives us such mobility in the midfield and in defence. And that's a key quality to have.
Yeah, and I think this kind of argument about Bentancur or Bissouma or Sarr or whatever, I actually think it's kind of moot, because this is the kind of squad options we need and we're going to need
100%.
Going forward. And that's why, again, there'll be a lot of discussion, I think, about whether to sign Werner or not. You asked me earlier on, should we? I personally think with Werner, we'll struggle to get anyone of his quality with his experience for anywhere near 15 million. And if he's willing to come as a squad player, I think we should snap that up. I just wanted to ask though, Mikey, with Fulham coming up next, how do you think that game will go? Do you think Marco Silva will look at us and say, well, the way to do this is to do it Brentford style, Palace style, shut up shop, 11 behind the ball, keep it narrow? Or do you think he'll play what I deem to be more like the Fulham way, which is quite expansive and they look to get on the ball? What do you think?
I can't say I've watched a lot of Fulham this season. I don't know how they play as much as I do about other clubs. Like we know how West Ham play, how Everton play. Yeah. But I can't say that I know how West Ham play. How Fulham play. So I'm not entirely sure how they'll set up. But I know for a fact that I think the key battle against Fulham is going to be how does James Maddison get past Joao Palhinha. I think if you can sort that out, you're looking at because Calvin Bassey we saw in the reverse fixture is what's the word? Very unreliable. He's a liability on the ball. I don't know who else they have in defence, but I know that James Maddison looking to take advantage of Joao Palhinha is going to be the key battle, and hopefully we can And also, Christian Romero keeping Raul Jimenez or Carlos Vinicius kind of quiet would be thing as well. But honestly, yeah. And also, every time Adama Traore plays Tottenham, he just seems to pop up somehow. So I'm looking at, his searing pace is going to be a threat as well. But I expect us to win. And on Werner, I right now, I wouldn't trigger the permanent option. But if he plays the way he has the last 2 games, he scores 5 to 10 goals for the remainder of the season, I would definitely sign him because that is a very cheap price. But now, I wouldn't trigger it.
So what I look at is the reality of, and I think when people talk about Richarlison, I feel the same way, which is, are we going to get somebody as a backup number 9 and someone who can also play wide left, who is as good as Richarlison for less than what we paid for Richarlison? I don't think so. And I think kind of the same with Werner as well. Now, me saying I think we should trigger that and keep Richarlison doesn't mean that I don't think we need someone like an Eze or someone like an Elise. Or we were linked together with Nico Williams today, who I know, like Nathan from the Extra Inch, is like, he's the man, he's fantastic.
He's a phenomenal player. There's also
he's amazing, but
the Napoli player, as well. Yeah, go on, Mikey. Sorry, go on.
We're not in desperate need of a wing. Like, I know that we have like really good options, and obviously, we've still got. Everyone forgets that we've got Manor Solomon coming back. He was okay, and then if you add Manor Solomon to the mix, who can play on the wing, you'd then have, if you were to sign Werner, you'd have Kulusevski, Johnson, Hill, Son, Werner, and then Solomon. That'd be 6 wingers on the books.
Hill's not going to stay though, surely.
No, I'm a big advocate. I'm a big advocate for sending Brian Hill back to Spain. Obviously, I think that's. But then you still got 5 wingers, and there's 3 spots with Richarlison as the number 9 as well. So I think all of those wingers, we're not selling Kulusevski, we're not selling Son. Obviously, we're not selling Richarlison. Solomon, we've just brought in. He was on a free, so any money we got from him, he would be sold anyway. But then you're looking at. We've just got rid of Perisic to bring in Werner. So if we were to bring in another winger, we would have to sell Hill first. And I think we've got other areas that genuinely, like, as much as I love Ben Davis, and I think he should stay till he retires. I do love Ben Davis. He is a brilliant backup option. I really do like him. We definitely need a more mobile left back as our backup.
Yeah. Completely.
I think I like the look of the Girona left back, but I don't know. He's really kind of good, but I don't know if he'd want to play second fiddle to a player like that. So you might be looking at kind of promoting someone from the academy, or it just won't be Ryan Sessegnon, will it? So
no, I don't think so. But I think one of the positive things at the moment is that players are looking at Spurs under Ange and saying, "Oh, actually, I want to go there and be a bit of part of
that type of football."
Yeah,
but we're also forgetting we're adding in Lucas Bergvall. We don't need an Eze or a Elise. We're adding in Bergvall in the summer. Who
I think
that's a different position, though, Mikey.
But also, I think we need what the thing that we don't have. I think is like a player who almost can beat a man one-on-one, and then deliver a final. I don't know. It's almost like what I call like a Spurs player. Like a Chrissy Waddle, a Gaza,
Ginola,
yeah. But look, I know what you mean, Mikey. Anyway, look, we've got some other people calling in. So thank you so much, mate. Thank you so much for your opinions. Brilliant as always. Do give us a call after the Fulham game next week, and have a great rest of your Sunday, mate.
Enjoy the week, Mikey. Come on.
I will. Also, happy Mother's Day to everyone.
Yes, happy Mother's Day to all the mums out there.
Big up the mothers.
Top man.
Bye,
Mikey. Cheers, mate. Thanks a lot. Got a few comments just to go through here. Good to legend Le Grand Bonheur. Good to beat Unai in Premier League for the first time. I think, did we not beat him at Arsenal? I'm not sure. Ho LA Spur. We need to take more shots when around the box. Dominated possession 70% in the first half and took one shot.
I agree with that.
Well, we've been talking about that a lot. It felt less important to me today because it felt like we were so close to cutting them open so many times. But yes, certainly in those other games, I agree. Next up, Alex at Mr. Box Office TV. Can you hear me, mate? How are you?
Well, I'm just going to get straight into it. Everybody should know my name is the Box Office, the main event, the Professor of Truth and Entertainment, the ratings killer, Barnaby's nightmare, and Sean's guilty pleasure in that sitting. If you don't know, get to know. Let's get straight to it. Now, firstly, I need to say this because after listening to that rubbish last week from Josh, saying that, we need to backhand you and everything else, or what was everybody shouting about and everything else and crying like a little, well, whatever he was doing. Just to say this, he ain't made me even like Ange at all. You know what I mean? I was still skeptical in June. I'm still skeptical now. You know what I mean? And you saying what you said last week, even more hate him even more. And that's what I'm saying. So you're not doing Ange any favours whatsoever. You know what I mean? So that just ends that debate straight away, and that's it. Now let's get straight to the game. Even though I said that, it was actually a good performance. Not too bad. Not too bad. I think people are going over the top about certain players. Let's be honest here. One player I've got to say, Werner. No, I'm sorry. I'm not going to take on a below average Shane Long. No way, Jose. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? He's got no arrogance. I mean, he scored 2 tap-ins, and everyone says we need to buy him. Honestly, if we're going to have that energy for Werner,
you thought Werner's goal today was a tap-in?
It was a tap-in. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on, because if you're going to have the same energy for Werner, I want the same energy for Bergwijn, who was a better player that did more than Werner's done. You know what I mean? And this guy's 27 years old. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, I'm not having this nonsense. You know what I mean? He's supposed to be a German international. I expect a little bit more. Yes, he does some good runs. I've seen it myself. I've gone at the stadium. I've seen it myself. But I'm not having that rubbish. But one thing I will say, the players in the midfield and defence look good today. Got no complaints about it. You know what I mean? I think our midfield, I've got to be honest, it's got to be Sarr, Benzema and Maddison in there, yes. Van der Ven, well, we could see that was always going to happen, his injury, because speed emergence, hamstring injuries always happen. I think we were too reliant on Porro and Udogie. Sorry. You know what I mean? People apologise for Emerson. We all know he's bang average. I'm sorry, I'm not hearing that rubbish. And the goalkeeper, he's done well. I've got to say this. The only thing I've got a problem with at the moment is our forward line. I'm sorry.
Kulusevski. 4 goals today,
Kulusevski. Sorry, Amir, you've had 2 hours to make your point, Bob. I'll back you another time. You know what I mean? But the point I'm making is. The point I'm making is. Yeah, but the point I'm making is. No, let me finish, because you had your time to try. Had your time to try. Let me finish. Kulusevski, for me, doesn't do enough. Does not do enough. I'm sorry. Johnson was okay today. Johnson was doing. Yeah. But Johnson done okay for his level. Yes, he did. He pressured the guy. Yes, but he needs to do more. I'm sorry. The only player that looks good is Son. Sorry, that's it. And he was anonymous today until he scored the goals, and that's it. So I'm sorry. This rubbish I hear saying Kulusevski was all that. He's all this. He's done basic things as a right. You might as well be a right back, bruv. I'm sorry, you're not even this rubbish. I mean,
with full due respect,
back to you to say something stupid.
No, with full due respect, Alex. Today, right? I agree with you with the defence and Bissouma looking great and the midfield looking great. I agree with you there, but I think the front 3 actually did really, really well today.
Really?
Got on the score. Yeah.
Really?
Brennan Johnson's finish was phenomenal. Yeah, Brennan Johnson's finish was phenomenal.
Yeah, but after the first half, bruv. After the first half, you're having a laugh. The main thing is, if we don't have to think about it, they score the goals. But if they need to think about it, they haven't got the quality, bruv. I'm sorry. Yeah?
They haven't got
the quality. You're telling me that any of these players, you're telling me any of the front 3, other than Son, can get into the top 4? The top 4 club? Do you think they can get into a top 4 club? Ask me that question.
I think Kulu would walk into Villa's team.
Oh, you're having a laugh, bruv. I'm sorry, you have a laugh.
So those stats.
I think Kulusevski today. Porro makes him look good, bruv. Porro makes him look good.
Kulusevski today was one of our best players.
Porro makes him look good. It's funny Josh is now popped up now because he wants to have a guy at Mr. Box office. It's funny he's popped up. But anyway, moving on. You know what I mean? But you know what I mean? But the point I'm making is, right, you telling me that Kulusevski can get into the top 4 club. You telling me that Johnson can get into a top 4 club. Werner's already gone to a top 4 club and he failed. You know what I mean? So don't tell me that rubbish.
You know what I mean? Alex, this is just my
put people on mute.
Here, right?
Put people on mute. Those people on mute. Yeah, there's a chance to talk later on. But my point is, yeah, you're telling me that he's going to get a top 4 club. Then you're telling me that, yeah?
I think he'd get into Villa. I think he'd get into Villa's team easily. Yeah, I think the work he does off the ball, Alex. I think what he does off the ball.
Oh, that's a fullback then, Bob.
Is so
that's
crucial.
A fullback then.
No, it's not, because he's also assisted today. He's also won the ball back high up the pitch. He's also scored vital goals for us up at the Etihad. Let's not forget. right? That takes a lot of effort and work, and the stuff that Kulu does off the ball is so undervalued. We were just talking about, you know, fans looking at goals and assists. Sometimes for me, my man of the match, we'll get to your man of the match in a second, Alex, but my man of the match today was Sarr, right? Who got his assist, but for me, his work off the ball was way more important than the assist.
I agree with Sarr. And I think he was a man of the match as well. Yes,
Okay.
I think he makes our midfield look good. Yeah, we agree with that on that one. But Kulusevski needs to do more. I'm sorry. I don't get this. And so, I hear podcasts saying we don't know what Kulusevski's sort of type of player he is and stuff like that. So what type of player is he then? Because if he's playing for any other top clubs, if he was doing the same thing with those top clubs, I hear Tottenham fans saying, "Oh, what is that player? Oh, he's not that great. What's this? What's that?" He plays for Tottenham. Oh, yeah, he looks good. Oh, he's better than Saka. Oh, you don't know what's cooking. You don't know what he's cooking. I mean, I'm not hearing this rubbish. I'm sorry.
I haven't heard anyone say he's better than Saka, but I think.
Well, I've heard people. I've heard Tottenham players say that.
I haven't heard that, Alex, but I think to call him rubbish today, especially after such.
No, I didn't say he's rubbish. I'm saying that he could do more. I'm saying he can do more. So I'm not saying that he's rubbish. I'm saying that people that saying that he's over, we don't know what he's doing. I think that I'm sorry, he needs to do more. I'm sorry. He's not a great player. He's not that great. And if he has to be better than next season, and I was telling people when he was having this purple patch when he started, because I called him a reject, reject.
I remember.
You know what I mean? Like
him and
and I stick by that. I stick by that notion. Okay. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, he has not done more than what I've seen before. He couldn't touch Dinula. He couldn't touch Bell. He couldn't touch any of the top players. He couldn't touch any of them. I'm sorry.
Alex.
And Johnson as well.
Alex, firstly, it's good to meet you. I've not spoken to you before. Do I address you as Alex or Mr. Box Office?
Mr. Box Office, Mr. Box Office.
So I just want to go back to something you said right at the start, which kind of surprised me, which is I think you said you hate Ange. I wondered if you could kind of explain to me why, because I've not heard your opinions on this before.
I said from the very, very get-go, I don't know about this guy. Right? I don't know about this guy because I said I've gone through too much of managers going in and out. It's not really his fault. It's the culture of our club, right? And it's for the board to prove to us that they're going to stick with their man, right? At the moment, this season, right? This is no expectations this season, right? The only time I'm going to know if we're going to back this manager is what's happened at Arsenal. Right, they stuck with Arteta after how many years of people saying Arteta out. We've never seen that at Tottenham, and until I see that, right, I will see something different. I'll be on board. It's up to the board now. I actually feel sorry for Ange. The only reason why I say hate Ange now is because the fans, because they keep on having a go at me. They call me scum. They call me this. They call me that. They call me everything under the sun. And by the way, before anybody says anything, I talked to three people, right? Three people that love Ange: Kuva, Asthmatic, and Paul. Right? They all agree with me. Right? And big up to them. Yeah, Asthmatic is my best. He's the best one. Yeah, it's a privilege to have him on this show, by the way. Right? Kuva, fantastic, and Paul, I'll tell you this for a fact, is an absolute gentleman. Absolute gentleman. He absolutely loves Ange. He's known Ange for a long time.
I agree.
So he even agrees with me as well.
Yeah.
So if they agree with me. And they love Ange, right? They see what my point is because I know what sort of person I am in. You know what I mean? Because I absolutely couldn't stand it after we got in Mourinho. That's when I stopped defending Tottenham. You know what I mean? And now they've got to get me back on board. I still go to the games. Yeah. I still go to the games because I still pay my money. I'm still desperate to get to the Arsenal game. If anybody can get me a ticket, that'd be great. But the point is that I still need to see on board. Yes, we're playing good football. Yeah, sometimes it's over the top. I think we've been lucky. Yes, it was a good performance today. Certain players, I do agree with you about Romero playing that number 6 role. Yeah, I see that. Yeah, I've said it as well. Because I said it on Mr. Box Office TV. If you want to like and subscribe. But the point I'm making is that I don't think we've relied too much on our fullbacks. Right, I think Emerson gets too much praise when he's rubbish. I'm sorry, he's bang average. And if we're going to say Emerson's very good, I want the apologies for people that went for Wam Foyth when Wam Foyth was shot at this club, right? I want the energy for that. You know what I mean? Because better players that are in that position that Emerson's not good enough. I'm sorry, you can get a better football than Emerson, even in the under 21s. I'm sorry, I'm not aiming that's rubbish as well. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Cool.
The same with Davis. I'm sorry, Davis. Again, we need people to compete. Again, I don't like this word back up. Not back up, it's competing. You know what I mean? That's what you see with Manchester City and Liverpool right now. You know what I mean? Arsenal as well. You know what I mean? That we absolutely rinsed to pieces as well. You know what I mean? And that's it. But anyway, I don't want to get too much into it.
Mr. Box Office, Mr. Box Office, thank you, mate. Can I just ask then? So based on what you said before, just going back to what you were saying about Ange, so what needs to, just to double check that I'm hearing you right, what needs to happen for you to believe in Ange is for him to have a bad run of results and do badly, and the club stick by him, and then you will finally think, oh yeah, he's good.
Well, it's also the fans have to say Ange out as well. It's the combination of things. It could be anything really, to be honest. But what
wait,
I'm saying
Alex,
is,
I'm confused though. 1 second. Why would you want fans to say Ange out?
because that puts pressure on the board to stick with their man. That's the whole point.
I'm just sorry, Mr. Box. I'm just confused because none of this seems to be relevant to like what the performances on the pitch are like and what the results are like. Surely, as a Spurs fan, what you want is for the performances to be good and the results to be good, and for us to be challenging.
Yeah, but the point I'm making to bother me is that at the end of the day, I'm saying at the moment the board have to back their man. Right, stick with the man for how many years? You know what I mean? And at the moment, I'm sceptical of that. I'm sorry, I don't believe any of it.
I hear you. I'm skeptical too, right, Alex? But I'm skeptical. It's not about whether Ange is going to stay here for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, or 5. My question is, will he get the backing from the board?
Well, right? That's backing when but backing means.
You mean financial
backing? I mean financial.
No, it's not even financial backing, bruv.
So it's not
sticking
the
with your
financial.
man. Well, it's not just the financial. It's about sticking with your man when they're going through a bad run as well, and when the fans go against them as well, because that shows you, and that will shut a lot of people up. It'll shut me up. But at the moment, I don't know when that's going to be. I don't even know if Ange is going to stick around, because he for me, I look at him and think, well, after 2 years, he's like, bye bye.
Well, that's what he usually does.
I don't think. That's what I'm saying. So I don't know. Based on what I've seen, how many years I've been a Tottenham fan since 1998. I haven't seen Tottenham stick with a man, right? They stuck with Martin Jol, should have stuck with him, got rid of him. They should have stuck with Harry Redknapp, didn't stick with him. Just stuck with Pochettino. They got rid of got Mourinho in, which I told people on this channel, told him it was never going to work, right? I saw people that were supporting Conte, then changed. And then some of them are on the calling right now, said they were supporting Conte. Now they say it's the worst thing ever, right? So I'm sorry. I'm sticking to my guns. And like I said before, I've mentioned 3 people who understand what I'm talking about. Now, if they can understand it, I don't know why anybody else can't understand it.
No, Alex,
when people
I can
are calling
understand.
me that I'm scum, and people, and the thing is though, the same people keep on going about Sol Campbell, right? Which was 21 years ago.
Yeah, let's not go there.
So don't have a go. No, we will go there, because if we're gonna start talking to me about that, about me liking, and I'm giving you a good reason why I'm still skeptical. So that's it, right? I don't want to get too much onto it because other people want to take the calls, and that's it. But Amir, if you want to have another battle, you know where to get me. You know what I mean? Because everybody else needs to fight.
We've got you now. We've got you now, Alex.
Yeah, we've got you now. And you know what? It's not about because I'm just trying to understand where you're coming from, because I hear the frustrations, Alex. And, you know, I've been a Spurs fan maybe a little bit longer than you, around the same time as you. And I get the history, and I get... Like, you know, you're skeptical. I'm skeptical every time we bring in a player. I was skeptical about James Maddison because of the previous. But what I've tried to do as a fan is, with Ange, give him a clean slate. This is a new mentality. It's a new manager. It's a new style of football. And for me, the most important thing that I've seen this season, right, that gives me confidence building on into next season, it's not just the fact that we're playing this attacking brand of football. It's the connection that Ange has managed to build back between the fans, the club, the staff. Everything seems to be going in the right direction, which is why, you know, I'd love to hear from you, Alex. After a fantastic performance, for me, probably the best performance of the season, to go up to Villa Park, win 4-0, get a clean sheet, statement win, you know, I would think that for you would put some faith in Ange, no?
like I said, Demir, nothing was going to change me this season. Nothing was going
Okay.
to change me. I had my feelings already on that. I said on the performance was a good performance, right? Judging on what I see, right? I have to judge what I see, right? It was a good performance, right? I think you're going over the top about certain players. Yes, we agree about the man of the match, Sarr, all day, every single day. Yes, but there's certain players out there. For me, the forward line is a concern for me still. I'm sorry,
Okay.
I don't think that is for me, and I think there's too much of the players getting too comfortable in the first team at the moment. We're worried about injuries at the moment, and we haven't had Europe this season. It's going to be worse next season.
No, I hear
It
that.
will be worse
I'm
next
with you on
season.
that.
Right,
Yeah.
and people saying, "Oh, well, it's all right to have backups." It's not all right. We need to stop this term of backups. Backups are not good enough anymore. I was the one that's supporting Davis. Right, I had to apologise to Irish Hotspur. Right, after Dyer, Davis, Winks, all these players letting me down constantly. Right, so you know what I mean? I've had to apologize. I've had to look at myself as well, defending averageness, right? If we want to start winning trophies, and it's what we need to do, because that's what's going to keep Ange here, right? We've got to think big, yeah? Thinking about how we're going to get better than Man City. Not better than Arsenal, better than Man City. This is not good enough if we're going to do this next season. I'm sorry, and
Alex,
that's what I'm saying. That's it. Sorry.
Alex, Mr. Box Office, thank you, mate, for calling in. I really appreciate it. I'm just slightly worried on your behalf if psychologically, after a 4-0 win away at your closest rivals in the league, you feel the need to be like you inside yourself feel like you're worried about all the potential negatives of what may or may not happen in the next year and how things are going to go badly.
It's not negative.
Before I finish, what I want to say is I'd love you to call in when we lose, because then I think we can probably talk in a way where I'll be somewhere on your plane, but you seem to be on a different kind of plane of being at the moment, because it just feels like everything feels so good. That's all.
But Barnaby, it's not negative. So I came in because I needed to react to what was said last week. Right, I said to you, I think I've actually been quite optimistic, actually saying to you it was a good performance. Right, so that was a positive. Right, just because I don't like some of the players, like certain players, people going over the top about, doesn't make me negative. I'm just honest.
No, that's your opinion.
I'm honest. I'm honest about what I see.
Yeah, that's your opinion.
And if we're gonna start doing that, we might as well not have phone-ins, and that's it for me. You know what I mean? So as far as I'm concerned, no one's changing my mind. And like I said before, I've gave you 3 people that see where I'm coming from, and they love Ange, like you guys. So I'm not even this rubbish. And also, I've got to big up Ellie as well, because she knows exactly what I'm talking about as well. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to change my mind. Big up to you guys. Big up to you, Amir, to try and challenge Mr. Box Office. You still lost. That doesn't matter anyway. Any day of the week, and that's it. Big up to everybody, and I'm out of here. Back to you guys. I'm done.
Thank you, mate.
Take
Thanks
it easy, Alex. Have a good week. Enjoy the win, Alex.
And he's gone.
Enjoy.
So that was my first time meeting Mr. Box Office. He started, I had to write it down. He started by saying, "I'm Barnaby's nightmare." Fucking nailed it, mate. Absolutely nailed it. I've never met anyone quite like you. And the reason I was laughing throughout, not only because of what you were saying, is because I was reading the comments, and hilarious. Now, the only thing I was trying to say, I think you took it a little negatively, Mr. Box Office, which I'm shocked about, because, of course, as you said, you're not negative at all, is I would love to speak to you after we lose a frustrating game, when I'm at my most kind of passionate and negative about Spurs, because I feel like if you're saying what you're saying today about, like, and I get what you're saying,
what it's like
the overarching picture of Tottenham as a whole since Sol Campbell, then I can only imagine what it's going to be like on those days. And that, I think, is where you could really come into your name, Mr. Box Office. I was wondering throughout that, do you have a partner, Mr. Box Office? Do you have a girlfriend? If you do, does she get upset when you describe yourself as Mr. Box Office? I need to give myself a moniker. I think that's the only thing that's come from that. At Tip Top Tottenham, you've got a lot to follow, mate. You've got a lot to follow there. How are you feeling after that game?
I'm feeling amazing. First off, is the audio all good? First off,
yes, yeah. Not only is it great audio, but it's the sexiest looking microphone I've ever seen in my life.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you. So this is my first time calling in. I just became a member today. I've been watching this channel. I've been watching the channel for maybe like 2.5 years, and I was like, man, I love this team so much. I started making my own YouTube videos, so I was like, I feel like it makes sense to talk about it here as well.
Good, well,
I don't know.
Don't forget to follow Mr. Box Office TV as well.
Definitely.
I was just gonna say, man, Mr. Box Office after that Newcastle game last season, he probably would have been a criminal. I mean, he would have done terrible things to people, I'm sure.
Brilliant.
Completely agree. Where are you from, mate? I get the sense you're from North America somewhere.
Correct. Yes. So I'm living in Nashville, Tennessee right now.
Nice.
I watch all of the games in the supporters club here, and it was an earlier game. It started at 8 a.m. Central Time where I live. So there was probably about 15 to 20 people there, but it was unbelievable. It was a party. It was like after the third goal, I believe, we all really were like, okay, we're safe, we think. and we all started cheering. It was a blast.
Yeah, it's that feeling of being able to finally relax. I mean, as a Spurs fan of, I'm ashamed to say, over kind of 30 years, that feeling of never being able to relax is so strong. So I'm glad that translates all over the world as well. So, what did you make overall of the game today then? What do you think kind of led to us really embarrassing Aston Villa, to be honest?
There were so many things. I just felt like having Porro back especially was a really, really big difference. When we have him and Udogie, I think like a person 2 calls ago had mentioned, we just look like a completely different team. I think we're able to offer so much on both sides, really, really far up. And people talk about Pape Sarr's legs, and he's a great runner. But Udogie, for me, was my man of the match. I thought he offered so much offensively and didn't really misplace any passes, while at the same time intercepting the ball like several times. I thought he played really, really well. I don't think anybody defensively played bad at all. Mm-hmm. You know how Radu Dragusin came in. I was a little bit nervous because I know a lot of the fans have been clamoring to see more of him. But I didn't think he had looked particularly great. But today I thought he looked really, really good. It would have been a little bit concerning because I believe he came on right after we gained a man advantage and they had gotten a red card. Mm-hmm. So it would have been a little bit concerning if he didn't perform well. But I thought defensively we looked great. Just unbelievable tactics from Ange today. I think everybody played well.
Yeah, completely agree. And I mentioned it to Amir earlier. I thought that was almost like the perfect time for Dragusin to get his kind of first elongated period of play for Spurs. I couldn't tell there, Mr. Tip Top Tottenham, whether I'm now calling everyone Mr., whether they're a Mr. or not. I couldn't tell there whether you had frozen, but actually you just had such a long drink of water that you hadn't frozen. But yeah, I completely agree with everything you're saying. Amir said that Pat Matsar was man of the match. Would you agree with that one?
I think he's definitely up for it. I'm really, really happy to see that he got an assist. It was such a great cross. I think that the ball that he had ran down came from a 1-2, I believe, with Kulu and Porro. Mm-hmm. And it was one of those where, like, if he really didn't run after it as hard as he could have, it could have, not turned into what he turned it into. And I thought it was fantastic for him to get a cross in. I wanted to mention as well, I don't think that somebody said so far, Højbjerg, when he came on, whoa. Whoa. Højbjerg played so well. I remember he looked like Jude Bellingham or something, dribbling past like 2 midfielders towards the end of the game.
I absolutely shat myself when he did that. When he did the Cruyff turn, my pants are in the ground. It was a nightmare.
And as well, Brennan Johnson, I think in the beginning of the game, had some really nice dribble moves as well. It was great to see it from him. I think I kind of prefer him off the bench more just because his pace is really able to be utilized a lot more against defenders' tired legs. But I thought him and Werner both played well today. I mean, it's hard to really find a ton of negative things to say. I don't know how Mr. Box Office was so successful in that.
I think we should just rename this channel Mr. Box Office now. I've actually just I've checked my text. I've got text from the producer just being like, move this on. And I've got text from my girlfriend saying, how is Mr. Box Office still on? But he is, to be fair to Mr. Box Office, he has opinions and it's subjective. And as a football fan, you are allowed to have your own opinions.
Indeed.
But in the same way, he has to allow Amir to have his right of reply as well.
It's just, for me, what it is players coming into criticism when they deserve it, that's fine. If Bissouma dives and gets a suspension, go in on Bissouma with all regards. But if your front three score 4 goals away from home, spreading the goals around, getting assists, to me, they all deserve praise. And I thought Kulu, actually, out of that front three, he did phenomenally well in winning back the ball and his work off the ball. But speaking of Brennan Johnson, tip-top Tottenham, I'd like to hear from you. Do you think it's his best position out on the left that we've seen him there, or would you prefer to see him on the right?
That's a really good question. I think he probably prefers playing on the right, to be honest. I think he may look good at times on the left, but I feel like we need more. Like we definitely need to go get another left winger specific player in the summer who can really go beat a man one-on-one. That's what I've been crying out for. I feel like for a long time. We just don't have a player, in my opinion, right now in the squad. Well, although Brennan is making me eat my words a little bit because he had a couple of really nice dribble moves.
Yeah.
But we need somebody who can do that on a consistent basis and continue to add goal contributions. So I think, like Barnaby, you said before, would I take Timo? I think if Timo is willing to not be the consistent starter and come off the bench, I feel like for his current performance level, I would think I would be okay with that. Yeah, but signing him. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, and I actually think he will be happy with that because he was at Leipzig as a sub, but for a squad where the style and formation that they played didn't include, they played a 4-2-2-2 and didn't include that possibility of playing off the left. Whereas with us, he knows he'll get more game time opportunities because, as Anne said when they brought him in, we have a position here where it's his kind of natural position. And we can play him there.
And he has the European experience. We can't, disregard that. These players that have been there and done it at European level, bringing someone in that's already been there, done that, got the T-shirt, I think it's crucial. And I think he's playing his way into us signing him permanently, I think.
I agree with that, Amir. And I was just going to mention as well, with the Champions League having the new format with even more games potentially, squad depth is going to be more important than ever, So like I just kind of reiterated, I think Werner would be a fine player to sign, given that we signed that player left wing specific in the summer and he's willing to not be a starter. I think that's totally fine. Yeah, I'm buzzing, guys, man. I love this.
Listen, I'm buzzing too. And honestly, that's why, maybe I did leave Mr. whatever his name was on for too long, but I was just thoroughly enjoying what he was coming out with. But the maddest thing actually that I think he said out of all of it was when he described Werner's finish as a tap-in. That basically rendered everything he said after that as obsolete because that was such a difficult finish. Coming across his body, opening out his foot, and it had to go right in the side netting against the goalkeeper who's huge and has won the World Cup. Yeah. For me, that shows, unfortunately, Mr. Trademark, or whatever your name was, that it's, a slight lack of really seeing the game how the game is.
Yes, and I was just going to mention with that goal, it's so difficult to do. I mean, you really can't appreciate how hard that is until you try it yourself. Like, if you take 100 random people off the street, maybe 1 or 2 could do it. It's really not an easy goal, not a tap in at all.
Yeah, completely agree. We're probably on delay, so I'm kind of loath to say it, but Man City have given away a penalty. Edison has given away a penalty to Darwin Núñez. I'm not looking at the comments now because I want to see what happens in that, but that is obviously interesting to get that back to 1-1 potentially. Tip-top Tottenham with Fulham game coming up next week. How do you think this game, this victory, will affect the confidence of the players and our ability to kind of go in and start putting together the kind of run that we had in those first 10 games?
Huge. I think it's huge. I really am hoping that the Van de Ven injury is not serious because I think even though Dragusin played well today, he is so critical in our performances, and we really, really need him starting, honestly. But, it is away at Fulham. And I looked at their recent fixtures before joining on the call. I mean, they're not a bad team really at all. I mean, they like being at home. They're going to be up for us. I feel like every team when they play Tottenham, brings their best almost. And so I'm optimistic, and but I do think Fulham's going to give us a good game. So it'll be really fun to watch.
It's a small ground as well there, tip-top Tottenham. There's not as much space as there is at our home ground. I'm just really hoping we can break them apart. For you, if you had to pick one aspect of today's game that most impressed you, what would that be?
That's a really good question. I would say just that we were able to, I mean, barring the first half, we were really able to play the football that Ange wanted us to play. I think when you consider the passing patterns and what the football was like to watch in the second half, it was really, really reminiscent to me of the first 10 games of the season.
Yeah.
And I just think that if, you know, it's obviously Ange's first season. So if we can get to a point to where that's the standard, or, you know, we can even do that for 80, 90 minutes against most teams in the Prem, then I really think we can do something special. Like, it's the most attractive football I've been watching from Tottenham since I've been following them. So I'm a little bit confused whenever I hear any sort of negative discussion about Ange. I think at this point, based off of what he's already done, he's at least earned 2 to 3 seasons, I would say. And we have to back him.
At least tip top. And I think where the pain comes in, I think sometimes it's you've just got to give people a clean slate. Like with what I was saying to Alex about the players that we bring in. I've been so scarred as a Tottenham fan from bad signings for 20 odd years that when we get a James Maddison who's a phenomenal player, I'm worried about it, even though I shouldn't be, because I should just be looking at the player, right? And the attitude. So I think, you know, where sometimes Spurs fans can go wrong is that looking at the past and just like taking those scars of the past into the future. And I think when a new man comes in like Ange, the clean slate that you give to him is so vital going forward. And I think, you know, like you said, Tip Top, he's been tip top, you know. He's united the fan base. He's united the fan base, and we're playing attractive football, and we're battling for Champions League. I didn't think we'd be anywhere near that this season.
No,
you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, go ahead, Barnaby.
No, you go, mate. You go.
I was just gonna say, before this season, you know, when you consider, like we've talked about, or I hear talk about a lot on this channel, we sold Harry Kane. It's the manager's first season. I truly did not expect us to even. I mean, really, if we would have had Conference League football next season, I would have been like, honestly, that's a pretty good year considering the circumstances.
No,
so I'm delighted with what I've seen so far.
People have short memories. We lost potentially the best player in the history of the competition. Ange said that himself. We lost him. People were saying that we were going to be relegation fodder, genuinely, like pundits, like Robbie Savage, Paul Merson. You know, admittedly, I'm not bringing up pundits here who don't come out with they do come out with some crazy takes, but we got the right manager in who could deal with that. No, Conte wasn't going to be able to deal with that. Not many managers would come in and be willing to accept the challenge of dealing with that. And Ange has come in and done it, and it's been great. And I'm just going to say, Kaylee Davis kind of agrees with what we're saying. She says in a super chat, best performance of the season, full stop, easily. I say she, I don't know, it could be a he, I'm not sure. But anyway, thank you very much for that super chat. Tip Top Tottenham, thank you so much for calling in. Great, call in again, mate. I want to see that microphone again. I love the way it moves from blue to pink. There's something very enchanting about it. So give us a call in after next week's Fulham victory.
Thank you guys so much. I will for sure. Thank you.
Top man.
Pleasure.
Thank you, mate.
Pleasure.
Just wanted to say one thing about Fulham, actually, that we've been, based on what we've been talking about, is there's been talk, and Ange said it looks like hopefully Van der Ven's injury isn't too bad. Actually, Fulham aren't a very pacey side going forward unless they start with Adama out wide. But in terms of dealing with Vinicius or Jimenez, that's not going to be a big pace issue. So let's say he's only got a few weeks out, then there's the international break. Maybe it won't be that damaging. But anyway, Arian, you're here, mate. Bring us some normality. How are you?
I'm great. I'm fantastic. Thank you for asking. I have a history with Mr. Box Office. I
saw you laughing when he was speaking, actually.
Because every time he comes on here, he says some absolute nonsense. And the thing is, what happens is he nitpicks some things he gets right, and he goes, "Oh, I've always been right." The guy is out of his mind, really, frankly.
Anyway, I do think when you name yourself Mr. Box Office, maybe there's an element that you are purposely saying stuff to try and get reaction. I don't know.
There's obviously that element.
But tell us about the performance today. What did you think?
Wonderful performance. I said it in the first half when a lot of people were giving, because the thing is, I think a lot of people, this is the biggest problem I feel like when it comes to looking at games, is it's easy to say we're missing a final ball, because we are sometimes, and that's sometimes how the sport goes. You're missing a final ball. But you look at the grand scheme of the performance, Villa looked horrible. I mean, you look at that side, you think this is a relegation side. Villa were genuinely horrible from minute 1 to minute 90. It wasn't from minute 45 to minute 90. They were shit. They were genuinely shit. And barring a couple of referee decisions that were minute in the first half, we could have scored. Like, for example, this decision did my head in. When Bissouma wins the ball cleanly from John McGinn in front of their box in a 4v2, that is a goal. That would have been a goal, and we were completely. It was just taken away from us for absolutely no reason. And there were little ones along the way similar to that one. And you go into the half goalless. I was very relaxed, and I have a message from a group chat. I said, "Watch, we're gonna win this 4-0," and it turns out we're
great.
right because Villa have not impressed me all season. You look at the panel show I did maybe a month ago. I said we're gonna win by at least 3 goals at Villa Park. I was not one bit scared going into this game.
He did actually say that. I was on that one with him. He did actually say that, but he did also say that we were going to go 7 unbeaten.
And I said, and if you remember, I said the reason for that is because we've gotten the same squad back that won, that did not lose in 10 games, and the one we lost was when we did not have both of our fullbacks.
Yeah.
So as soon as they have returned, we have now won every single one. So I would say, given that caveat, it wasn't an outlandish thing for me to say. And it's so far, again, barring the fact that we missed our 2 fullbacks in the same way that we missed our 2 center backs, our performances have been wonderful since then with the squad, because the squad has returned, the same squad that played to that level. Our points per game has been, I think, the second highest or the highest this season, barring the times where we did not have our center backs. We've had a brilliant season, and we're continuing it. This performance, let's go back to the performance, and that's not the grand scheme of the season. This performance, the second half especially, Villa were, as soon as Van de Ven goes off, you're thinking the worst, right? But Dragushin comes in, wonderful. It's near impossible ask to fill in the shoes of Mickey Van de Ven, but he did it superbly, I think, to the best of his abilities. The biggest caveat with him was his on the ball ability. I don't think he was like Romero-esque or Toby Alderweireld-esque, but I think he was more than capable. I think he showed that he can definitely be a great player for this team. Great off the bench, great option, great competitor for that starting spot. And that second half, Villa looked hopeless. I mean, their only couple chances came from just long balls. Like this is the stuff you see from Burnley. They just whipped it long to one of their wingers or to Watkins and just prayed, and it almost kind of worked once or twice, but outside of that, they just looked horrible. And
how much, sorry to interrupt, mate, but how much do you think the Thursday-Sunday European game had to do with that, or is it just that Emery set it up in a way where he got it wrong?
I think, it's undeniable that the fatigue most definitely helped us out. I don't want to, as much as I discredit Villa all season, I think the fact that fatigue, that they had that Thursday game did, it unsettled them. And Emery has a history, the same way Conte does. As soon as the European midweek fixtures pile in, the wheels fall off, and that's what we're seeing right now. So, and I also think that the tactical changes were ridiculous. I mean, what he was trying to do was kind of pull a Conte where he has a deep line. He's going to soak in pressure. The only thing he did better than Conte is he didn't have 2 in midfield, so that midfield battle was a little bit more difficult to win because we didn't have a numerical advantage. But when you have wonderful players like Pape Matar Sarr and James Maddison and Bissouma, you're going to win that midfield battle, and that's exactly what we did. And Pape Matar Sarr opened the scoring. Well, he didn't open the scoring. He gave one of the most delicious crosses I've seen in my life.
Unbelievable.
Absolutely sublime, world-class cross. I mean, this is the stuff you see from Trent Alexander-Arnold week in, week out.
Yeah.
Could not be better place for James Maddison to just touch it in. And from there, the floodgates opened fully.
Yeah. So given your confidence, Ariane, and I know how you're feeling, and I'm with you, I think that was the best performance of our season, hands down. That Champions League spot, is it ours?
Oh, it's absolutely ours. I said it's ours, and like I said, I have bets on that it's ours. And I was, again, so confident that we win this game. I told my friend, if we don't win this game, I will record a video of my dad throwing an egg at my face and upload it to the internet. That is what I said. That is how confident I was going into this game that we would win this game.
Mother's Day traditions at your house are weird.
But like I said,
I'm pleased you didn't have to do that, Ariane.
I knew I wouldn't have to do it. And our next 4 games are very winnable fixtures. We're gonna win all 4, and then we go into that very anxious run-in where we have the game at St. James's Park. Then we have Man City and Arsenal, and then Stamford Bridge is probably going to be put in there somewhere in the midweek, and then we have Anfield. So 5 very, very difficult games. And I think a lot of people are expecting, we're going to maybe win one. I think I'd like to be more optimistic. I'm not going to make a prediction yet because you never know what the squad's going to look like for us and for the opponents going into those games. But I'm very optimistic for the season. I still think we not only can finish 4th, we can aim higher. I'm not going to say how high, but we can aim higher. And like Ange said, the actual position we finish in, whether it's 4th or 5th or 10th or 2nd or 1st or whatever, right, doesn't genuinely matter in the long term that he's building, in the long term that we're looking forward to. What he is laying down is the foundations of a team that can win, not just this season, not just next season, but for the foreseeable future. And that is exactly what he's laying out. We have our squad out. As soon as we don't have absolute horrible. You make Liverpool play Trent Alexander-Arnold center back, they're not going to be top of the table. You make Man City Man City have like center back, so I'm not going to use them. All their fucking defenders.
Well, to be fair, actually, Liverpool are decimated by injuries and are finding a way at the moment. But I would say that's mainly based on the fact they've had Klopp there for 9 years, so their entire academy is geared to play in the way in the Klopp way. So when they transfer one player from the academy into a first team, it's not as huge a drop-off point as it would be for Spurs to bring in academy players now who've had to play 6 different ways in the last 5 years and slot in.
No, I wasn't trying to discredit Liverpool because but what I'm saying is the players that they're playing, Jarrell Kwanzaa and Connor Bradley, these are players who they might not be obviously as experienced, but they're right backs and they're center backs. These are players who've been coached to play in a certain position, a certain way. Emerson Royale has never played right back or center back to a high degree in his life, right? Sure. And we asked him to play 5 games in a row at center back. That's the kind of point I'm making, right? Arsenal, you make them put Zinchenko and Tomiyasu at their center back, they're not going to be anywhere near that title race. True. Anyone. We had to, the people don't realize the actual gravity of the injury crisis we had, and that's why we went winless in 5. So, look, besides those 5 games, like I said, our points per game is one of the highest, if not the highest in the league. I forget exactly how high it is, but it's top 3 for sure. We are building something very serious, and that point Mr. Box Office said, and I don't even know why I'm calling him that, but the point he said about he's using Arteta of all coaches as the benchmark, which is so strange to me, because why would you want your own coach to do so poorly that they need to be bailed out by more than 700 million British pounds or euros or some other a ridiculous amount of money that they need that much money to still not win anything? Why are you using that coach as the benchmark? Has anyone at Man City ever said Pep out? Has anyone at Man City ever said Pep out? And he's going to say, why are you looking at Pep? Why are you looking at Pep Guardiola? Why are you comparing fucking Brennan Johnson to Gareth Bale? And you're saying he doesn't touch Gareth Bale or Gullis doesn't touch, so now he's shit. So I'm going to use Pep if you're going to use Gareth Bale. Why would you not compare Ange to the likes of Pep Guardiola? Did anyone say Pep out? Is he still not a fantastic manager for Man City? Of course he is. And regarding Kulusevski and regarding Brennan Johnson, regarding Timo Werner, not every single player has to be one of the greatest of all time. Gareth Bale is the greatest British player of all time. Why on earth are you saying if Kulusevski isn't exactly at his level, he's shit? I mean, that's a ridiculous thing to say. So, look, what I'm saying is Ange doesn't need to be shit because his standards are much higher than certain other managers, and he isn't going to be shit. He isn't going to be to the point where all of our fans are going to want him out because he's a much better coach than that. He's a much better. He doesn't need 700 million.
I agree.
Ariane, I'm afraid I'm going to have to push things on because we've got a few callers left, and
that's all right.
For one reason or another, we seem to have already gone on for an hour and 15 minutes. Ariane, as ever, brilliant points, and thank you so much. Do call in after next week's win against Fulham. Listen how confident I'm being.
Enjoy the 3 points, Ariane. Yeah.
Have a great night.
I will.
Enjoy the week.
And as always, come on, you Spurs!
Yes, top man. I wonder if people in Ariane's house think that he's having like a weekly mental breakdown when suddenly he just starts screaming from the upstairs room. During Ariane's call, I was just keeping an eye on my right. Luis Diaz, who I really rate, missed 2
sitters.
Absolute sitters. One was a one-on-one and he put it wide, and then the other one he just took too much time over when it just came across the box to him.
Good thing we didn't sign him, eh?
And it didn't happen. I saw that we had one more caller. Are they still online, Tammy? They're not. Well, listen, honestly, that has been the most enjoyable fan phone-in show I've ever had. Really enjoyed it. And, you know, I know I'm lightly taking the mickey out of you there, Mr. Box Office. But actually, genuinely, keep calling in because it is hilarious. And like I said, more importantly, football is about being subjective. Everyone's allowed their views. Listen, I am also allowed to suggest that maybe your views are a little heavy on purpose, but maybe you can tell me next week after the Fulham win why I am wrong. And if we don't beat Fulham, all the more reason to call in because I will be spewing.
Indeed,
Amir, thank you so much for being on the show. Guys, thank you at home for watching and listening. Please do press the like and the subscribe button on We Are Tottenham TV. Go to @BarnabySlater_ to follow the Spurred On podcast where you get daily content. And Amir, tell them where to find you.
You can find me over on Tottenham on Tour, and I will be here in the studio over the next couple of months with Barnaby. And come and join us. Join us.
When we're going to go on this winning run. Exactly. Most importantly, have a great week. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on.